Hey, what gives here? I thought the Marine Band was supposed to be playing while I signed these orders.
Well, sir, Mr. Muskie and Swarmy Marmy said we have to cut the band to save money for our flight to Mars mission.
That's right. We need to rename it Mars America, and we'll set up a new Trump Tower up there. It'll be the biggest and greatest thing ever seen. We'll win, and make space beautiful again. So what do I need to sign next?
Executive Order number 42, the American One Baseball.
What's it say?
Well, sir, you would want it to bring all of baseball together under one umbrella, one roof, one dome.
You mean like the Tropicana?
No, sir. This order will bring the major league, minor leagues, and all U.S. baseball leagues together, including little leagues. Every team will play every other team for one inning, and the last team standing will win the World Series, all based on merit.
You mean the American World Series, don't you?
Yes, sir. And only Americans will play in the league. No DEIs.
No DUIs. Well, we don't need to talk about DUIs. Pardon me.
Sign here, sir.
So, how much are we making on these souvenir signing pins on eBay?
Welcome to Baseball Biz on Deck. I am Mark Garvin, and with me, of course, is Mr. Matt Germain. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm chilling. I'm chilling with the rest of North America.
Oh, well, you should come down here and we can throw snowballs at one another over at Pensacola Beach, man.
I'm in. Just send me the tickets, and I'll be on a plane before you could say tickety boo.
Oh gosh, it has been crazy down here. I was telling you before the show, talking about a couple of my kids that are living up in Tallahassee, and they got 6 to 7 inches. And some of these places, they're just not set up to manage snow. Well, you remember a couple of years ago, what was it, Atlanta? Atlanta had a hard freeze and ice, and it was devastating for that community. Well, I should say community, for that city to be able to try to adapt to that. It took them a week and a half or so, I think, to get through it. So that was kind of unique.
Yeah, definitely. I will say that, the history has, a couple of frosts over in Florida before in the past. I remember as a kid, we used to go to Florida every Christmas, and we would go 3 or 4 weeks. And one year it just ended up being extremely cold, and we were on the Vero Beach side, and it ended up being, all the pictures were us wearing big sweaters or jackets and on the beach, nobody wanting to go swimming and sort of just hanging out instead. But you'll get through it. It usually passes pretty quick, and hopefully you guys get warmed up pretty quickly.
Yeah, boo freaking who for Florida, I tell you. Boo boo. But no, things are good here. That's just kind of unique now and then. And some Florida natives have not seen snow in their state, so it's pretty cool.
That's fact.
Yeah, brother. So looking at everything that's been happening with our good friends with the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm not going to say much about stadium till what, March 31st and see if something's been built. We'll see how that plays out. But the thing you talked about, Tommy, first off, let me congratulate you again for that top 50 episode. And you put everything together on those prospects. That was outstanding, Matt. And to be able to give, a snapshot on each one of those players, I want to congratulate you on that. You did a great job with that. Folks, if you haven't heard that episode, please go back and check it. It's very insightful on players that are going to be coming up, and some that we may not see for a year or two. But Matt's been watching them all through the minors. So thank you for that, Matt.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully there's a few tidbits in there that people will grab onto and get them excited about the system. And because it is special. Like I just on the side, I was chatting with a Rockies blogger that I've interacted with for years oh goodness, I would say 2 decades now.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy, Mark. and so, there's always that whole, concerted going, Yeah, we never have the top system in Colorado. Like
Jeez.
they're nowhere near the kind of system that the Rays are able to accumulate. So really we're spoiled as Rays fans to be able to have that kind of wealth to talk about and have fun with.
It's funny you say that because I know a couple of years ago I was talking with uh, fellow up here at Full Count Chaos, Nate, and he was talking about rebuild. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. And I thought, well, nobody likes to hear that word. I mean, they've got a very young crew now, but a
Mhm.
lot of places that say that term rebuild, and time I hear, oh no, I could take it back. It was Nick Morowski with the Chicago White Sox. And it was like, yeah, rebuild, because Jerry Reinsdorf was saying that a few years back. And the thing of it is I can only think, how can you not have a great farm system bringing these players up? I mean, if you got one baseball, you could bring everybody up anyway from the little leagues, as we talked about early at the show. But uh,
Right.
I'm stunned that there's not a better farm system for every team.
Right. Well, and part of that has to do with the whole, you know, the whole system takes a long time to develop. So when you get a player and you get them in the big leagues, it usually takes a certain amount of time for them to get their feet under them to become a star. And by that point, a lot of these franchises aren't willing to give the contracts that the larger franchises are willing to give. So they're out the door right away. And a good example is actually kind of funny because Nolan Arenado is one guy that a lot of people were screaming for Colorado to keep around.
Yeah.
And eventually he went to the Cards, and now they're trying to get rid of his salary. So it's a bad example, but from Troy Tulowitzki, you can go back in time through all their better players. They've all moved on from Colorado at the point when they're in the peak of their careers, and they could be passing on a lot of their knowledge to the players that came after them. So I think the key word that you want to hear from a franchise is we're building, right?
We're
Nobody wants to
building.
hear rebuild. Just build. Just build. And then like right now, Colorado should be signing their young stars to extensions before they even step on the field. Because why not? Then what do they have to lose, really? Normally you get a good deal in that way. And what they have to come to terms with the fact that they're going to have to overpay pitchers to be there. If you're a pitcher right now that's still on the market, right? Colorado should be the team that's offering you too much money to go there so that then they can flip you at the deadline if they're not in the mix.
Right.
And they get their prospects. And then you keep building the system through that process as they're trying to compete in the toughest division in baseball right now. I got to admit, with the D-backs, the Giants, the Padres, and the Dodgers. I mean, I think they now are the toughest division in baseball. They've surpassed the AL East. And this is just for 2025. I think that the Rockies are in a tough spot. So when you can grab onto those players that you know are going to be keystones and are going to be there for the next 5 to 10 years, make it so. Give them the contract, dedicate yourself to developing them to their fullest potential and then make a family out of it. Like make them proud to be Rockies players and give them the support that they need. Because right now, what it seems like to me is there's no ownership commitment to a process that will get them there at any point. It's just a lost cause on top of a lost cause, on top of a lost cause. It has to be maddening for their fans.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to wonder how if run a business that way. It shouldn't seem like somebody should be able to say, well, that strategy just hasn't worked ever. So why do we continue to do it? Why am I continuing to bang my head into the wall? Do I expect something that's to shake loose and to get a vision of what this team can do or what I need to build a team? And it's just not happening there. Well, let's talk about somebody else here. Let's talk about a Tampa boy by the name of Pete Alonso.
Yes. There are
Now,
rumors, Mark. There are rumors. So the rumor is that the Blue Jays are eyeing him up, and there's some insiders that are saying that he's getting somewhere around 100 million from them if he does end up having mutual um, mutual interest. But I'm saying that the Rays are in probably the best position that they could ever be to make a jump on somebody like Pete Alonso if they feel that he is worth the commitment for the next 3 to 4 years. Because their commitments just are ridiculously low for the next 4 years. You're talking about, you know, under 10 million next year, and they're at 0.5 million in the year after that, and then 0 million for every year after that in terms of obligations. So, you know, being a hometown guy, a guy that can actually take a lot of the focus away from the young players coming up, that can lead them in a lot of different ways, and including character. I think that he's just a great gravitational pull. He'd be a marketing dream for the Tampa area. I think that, you know, with everything going on right now in the world, and and especially the world of a Rays fan, you kind of want to build some positivity. And to me, that's kind of the biggest lure. There's three moves I would love to see the Rays make between now and opening day. One would be to make Evan Longoria a coach in some way, shape, or form, or a special advisor, right? And I think that's, you know, that's something that I think would really, first of all, he would probably appreciate it if he's open to it. And I think that it's something that Kevin Cash would kind of lean on a little bit in terms of bouncing ideas off of somebody that he knows and trusts, and kind of has a respect for. I also think that the Pete Alonso thing has legs. I think that that's one thing that, I don't know. The Rays have made some, you know, the Nelson Cruz would be the kind of craziest move I could think of, where they just said, we're going for it in that way. Because to me, if you get Pete Alonso in there for 4 years, it's not just the 1 year. It's a commitment to, okay, the next 4 years. So yes, you have Junior Caminero right now, you know, coming into his own. But it's
Right.
what he's going to do next year, and a year after that, and a year after that. So if you pair those two bats in the middle of the Rays lineup, you're going to have the power that you need to compete in the AL East, and do some damage against some of the best staffs. So I just think if there's a fit, it seems to click. If the Blue Jays offer more money, I imagine they'll get them. But I think the Rays, when they went after Freddie Freeman for 150 million, and I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was 7 years they were offering, or maybe
It,
six.
I'd be honest with you, I do not know. I do not.
Right. So Freddie Freeman, you know, would be the comp. And obviously Pete Alonso doesn't have the hit tool that Freddie does. I don't think
No.
he's as good defensively. He would be more of a DH. So you would be offering less than that. But like, let's say the Jays are offering him 100 million. If the Rays go and offer him 120, I guarantee you he's coming to Tampa because the taxes alone will give him an extra how many? You know, like, so I just think the Rays would be, they are in a strong position to make that move. I think it would be a great marketing thing. It would get them, you know, the presses off of the whole Wander thing and focused on the future. And he might want to sign on to stick around for the opening of the new stadium in 2055, right?
Yeah. Looking here at I was looking at, it's a Sport Track, I believe. Wander Franco was supposed to make almost 8.5 million this year. 26 be making 15, and 27 be 22 million, 25 million. So that money, you know, that can be Pete. And Yandy Diaz, he's at 10 million right now. So that's we can pick him up. You know, just a few changes there.
Right. And like I said, the big change or difference would be, you know, if he's getting first base offers and the Rays are telling him, well, we want you as a DH. And that would be where Pete, I think, has a bit of an issue.
Mhm.
I don't know. But yeah, I think we would all get excited about the situation if they brought him aboard.
Oh, I would absolutely love to see him there. You know, yeah, I've seen other people who've come into the office. I can't remember. I know Denard Span did. And you look as far as the broadcasting too. I had seen Matt Joyce up there. I don't know if he's still with them or not. And then, of course, Brian Anderson and Doug Wechter on the Valley Sports, staying involved with the Rays, pitchers who've been with this team. But to actually have a player who is going to be in the dugout, somebody who's going to be touching and affecting what's going on with the team as far as the performance of the men on the field. Yeah, I would love to see, Longo with us again, man. He's a favorite, as far as being able to do the coaching. But Alonso and Longo, that'd be a nice combination, brother.
Absolutely, it would. And they brought back Ozzie Timmons.
They did. I missed that. No.
Yeah. He's back but he's in the front office now. He's not on the bench, but they brought him back to the team. He's going to be an advisor, baseball ops stuff. And it's pretty cool.
That. Oh man, that's so cool. Yeah. Ozzie Timmons in the front office. Wow. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I think of all the times when he was there at first base, coach, and all the fans loved him. They would bring a cake on his birthday there. The fans would be there. And it's like his role is going to be coaching the coaches, I think. And so I just picture him in the office making him do push-ups. That's all I keep seeing. Yeah, get those sunflower seeds out and the push-ups in. You're right in the line, brother. Yeah, man. No, I'm glad to hear he's back. Again, he's a Tampa native. They've got, I work around, I've said this 1,000 times, at the Tampa Baseball Museum sometimes, and we have signed balls from most of the players from this area, and Ozzie's up there in the wall with. So there's been over 95 players from Hillsborough County alone who've made it to the majors, and Ozzie's one of them from Hillsborough County. So I'm glad to hear he's coming back, brother. That's good.
Yep. And hopefully he's one of many that come back, like we said. But the Rays are, they're always building the front office with great characters. I still am dumbfounded as to how they do it, how they churn, how they get, people plucked away all the time. And I'd be curious to see if Chaim Bloom would ever return to the Rays as an example. I think he'll probably wait for another GM shot. But I think you're seeing the work he did in Boston pay off now, because there's a lot of Rays-dom all around, and most of it is positive, to be honest, when you're looking around. And so, I just love to see people who return, and it kind of gets people familiar again. So if a certain reporter were to leave and then come back down the road when they open a new stadium, that would be another great one.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, let's see what else we have here on the agenda, brother. Let's see. Well, I said I'm not going to talk about Hall of Fame, so I won't. Everybody else is. And what do we have? One thing just kind of a nugget I'm going to throw out here, and that is just south of here at Sarasota, New College. New College, man, it's nice. They've got a sponsor who wants to put up $1 million for a new baseball field for the college there. And lo and behold, as they start putting all the plans together for this, they realize that, oops, we don't actually own all the land that we wanted to be doing this with. We've actually leased some of that land from the Sarasota airport. And it's like, oh, brother, talk about a plan coming together. So at least they didn't. I don't think they broke earth before they were doing it all. But you get a donor coming up with $1 million. Yep, go ahead. You put my name on there, and we'll call it My Name, Dream of Fields. Well, yeah, but it's going to remain a dream for a while till they figure that part out.
Yeah, but maybe they can set the standard that Fenway Park can get fixed by, right? Because if they can build over the highway and figure it out, then maybe.
Well,
Fenway Park can do the same.
Well, we had the architect for a lot of the changes that are going on at Dodger Stadium, Orioles Park, and also at Fenway here just a few weeks back, Janet Marie Smith. And it dumbfounds me when I look at some of these traditional stadiums and what they are able to do with it. When you buy tickets to a game, one of the things my dear sweet wife Karen helps with and it's done, and that's it. Oh, Mark, do you know, are there going to be rails? What's your view going to be when you go to that stadium that you haven't been to before?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, we send it back up here in Fenway. That's
Yep.
all. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy when you think about, the little things, right? Like, so you gotta believe that organization, they had a lot of people, deciding, yeah, we should do this, and then they were pushing the program, and then come to find out that, they don't own what they think they own. That's kind of crazy.
No, it is. It is indeed, my friend. What else we got cooking?
The Rays made a signing just on the side. I know that I'm talking a lot of Rays here, but they signed a catcher, and he's going to be assigned to Double A. His name is Daniel. I think the way you say his name is Veohin. Veohin. So it's spelled Vellojin, and he's ranked about as high as 23rd on the top 30 Reds prospects list. Has a really, really, really strong defensive profile. So it's an intriguing kind of signing that they kind of brought in, and the fact that they're bringing people into Double A, especially with the amount of guys that they already have aboard, I think it's great to add competition and to make people really, go after it. But he's an interesting guy. I noticed that they just signed recently.
I think this signing that's not so surprising, and that's what Roki Sasaki with the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were talking earlier about what's Blue Jays going to do, because the Blue Jays actually thought they had a chance with him.
Right.
And I'm not sure how all this is going to play out, because some information you and I were going back and forth earlier today and talk about what's going to happen, because obviously some of these teams like the Mets and like the Dodgers, luxury tax means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. They're just going to spend to have the team, and then makes it very difficult for anybody else. And as you were talking earlier, you're looking in the National League West, it's like, my gosh, there's some great teams there, but the Dodgers have just gone so far above and beyond everybody else with that talent. It's just mind numbing.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my post earlier today, but I just kind of went into COTS, and I compared what the Rays owe or have in obligations for the next 4 years and what the Dodgers have. So like we just spoke about before, the Rays owe 7 million next year, 0.5 the year after that, then zero basically for the next 2 years. The Dodgers have already committed before the Kirby Yates signing, which apparently they're tidying it up right now. It's about 18 million a year that they're offering them for the next 4 years. So you have to add 18 million onto these numbers.
Jeez.
So the Dodgers have committed for next year 241 million, 240 million a year after that, then 193 million and 150 million. So before all the arbitration raises and all that stuff is counted in. So, that this year alone, I think they're up at 375 million that they've spent, more than the Blue Jays and Rays combined easily. And I think you could probably add the Orioles in there. Like, 3 teams in the AL East competing with very good teams don't even add up to what the Dodgers have committed to this year. It's just getting ridiculous. And what it is doing, though, Mark, is it's getting the rest of Major League Baseball cohesively on the same page in terms of, we need a cap and we need a floor, and it can't be a bargaining chip. It has to be for the survival of the league, not because you want to enrich yourself. Really, you need to enrich the league and make every fan base passionate about the game. That's the thing that you can give the NFL. They have an even playing field. And what does it do? Even the Packers can compete. Even any franchise, well, except for the Browns. The Browns can never compete. Or the Bears. Or I'm just kidding. But sometimes you'll go through a lull based on the leadership they have in place and the practices and yada yada yada. But generally speaking, you have a very competitive league that is able to have teams shift up and down. The NHL, same thing. You have teams that, go from worst in the league one year into the playoffs the next year. and it's exciting because you never know. You add this, they have to move players because they need to stay under the cap, and it evens out the talent to the point where each team is competitive. You're not paying for games and going to watch really garbage, right? Which is really what it ends up being. Like you're there just wasting your money watching your team get pummeled every day. Baseball has to get more into that frame of mind that a competitive league overall is way more exciting. I think all of us, I'm talking about every Major League Baseball fan today, would be super excited for the Pirates if they were in the World Series in 2025. They really would. It would be a huge story, a huge draw. Everyone would watch it. I cannot watch 1 minute of the Dodgers in the World Series if they make it again. Not 1 minute. I can't. I just can't because they're buying the championship.
Yep.
And I'm not going to support that. It's not my nature. If you earn it, I will watch it. No problem. I will really, really, really buy into it. But I think it's a perversion of the system that is elitist, and it's just not great, Mark.
No, you're right. I mean, you look at the Dodgers and I think, oh, is this the All-Star game? At least one of the teams, because you look at that talent and you're thinking, wow, my gosh, if you could put almost everybody on that team on an All-Star team for the National League. And everything from seeing what happened with Mookie. You mentioned Hyman Bloom a moment before and how he was the one who basically let Mookie, his last year before free agency, moved him on to the Dodgers, which was a great thing for Mookie. And I'm circling back to another world, but coming back to what you're saying as far as the Dodgers overall, no, it's just stupefying to think that why I'd even watch that game. Does it lose its impact when you see Freddie go up there and Mookie and everybody else coming up with the kind of talent? Does the effect of that great talent get lost because there's so much of it all together? It's like a bank of bright lights that they're all put together. I mean, maybe the one alone would practically blind you, but if you put 20 of them together and they shine on you at the same time, what's the difference in the effectiveness of enjoying whatever that might be?
Right. And that was my argument for Freddie Freeman coming to the Rays instead of the Dodgers. If Freddie Freeman wins a World Series with the Rays, he's a hero. He's basically Juan Soto in with the Nationals. The fact that he won a World Series with the Dodgers was incredible because he did it on one ankle. And he was still the MVP, and it was still great. He still came out looking like the hero that he is. But the World Series win still won't be memorable because it's the Dodgers and they bought the championship. So it's not the same. His championship with the Braves is way more of a feat than what he did in LA because he had so much support, so much talent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, having said that, the fact that Roki Sasaki is going to the Dodgers at a time when they are breaking arms as if they were snapping twigs before putting wood in the campfire is a little bit mind-blowing in my opinion. I get it because Ohtani's there, but Ohtani's about to break his arm as well. There isn't one pitcher that the Dodgers haven't broken. Honestly, there isn't. So Walker Buehler is just a walking shadow of himself. Clayton Kershaw still hasn't signed because his arm is falling off. The whole system, I think they had 6 guys with Tommy John that had come up and tried to boost the season last year that they won the championship. Like 6 Tommy Johns. I mean, come on. And they make the Rays look, pedestrian when it comes to guys going through surgeries. So I don't know. I think if I was Roki Sasaki, I understand the lure of LA. In my opinion, I would have gone somewhere else also because of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I want to be the guy on the team. I want to take a team to that next level. I want to be the marketing machine of that team and make a difference and an impact. And I just think it would have been more special. Now he's just one of the guys. What is he? Like the 5th starter on that team? Like, honestly, like he's not. I know he doesn't see himself as a number one yet, but he's not. He, I don't think he has the potential to surpass any of those guys while they're healthy, and I think he's setting himself up for a lot of behind the shadows kind of playing time. When in fact, eventually he will want to become that star or that number one. Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow.
I'm looking at some of the things you mentioned earlier. I think some about the CBA, as far as the Players Association agreement they have with the owners.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering how much is going to come into play. I don't know if you remember or not, but when it came down to voting on the last CBA, the men that were on the players that were negotiating, there was many of them that were with Scott Boras.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
they were not ready to accept the deal.
So
but go ahead.
they can actually force them to, right?
Well, and that's what happened was the membership was.
Mhm.
The overall membership said, yeah, we get your suggestion there, but we think it's actually going to work out for us because, one, let's face it, they had such high-paid players that were negotiating the CBA of what they would and wouldn't do to the point of where you felt like, I don't know if it's really representative of the body of all the players at the major league level. So I'm wondering with some of the changes you're talking about, that's one we've talked about the Players Association, but of those 30 teams, of those 30 owners, are there going to be a few that say, I'm tired of watching Cohen, I'm watching the Dodgers as well buy championships? Well, not buying an excellent team that's better than most anybody else.
I think you forget that these people are greedy beyond belief, Mark. Like honestly, like they're not even they're not in their same realm of thinking as what we are. So I firmly believe this. The only reason the system that we have in place right now currently exists is because half the league's owners are willing to just pocket millions while keeping their mouths shut so that the other teams can get into the playoffs constantly while they lag behind. But they're getting the transfers, they're getting the benefits of a system that allows them to write off a million different things and not pay taxes on anything to the point where they're pocketing way more than what we know. And they're getting all that gambling money, all the sources of revenue that they have on the side from the enterprise around the stadiums. They have a ridiculous amount of money that is flowing in, regardless of whether they win or lose. And I think that there are a few, I would say maybe 8 to 10 owners that you could probably say, yeah, they are angry and yeah, they are vocal and they would like to change the system. Like one would be like the Phillies owner as an example, very passionate, very involved, etc. And there's like some others that would be in the same way, but you're never going to hear, Stu Sternberg say that. You're never going to hear, they just don't care because the money flowing in is just so much that if they open their mouths and MLB changes the rules to the point where all of a sudden they don't have a franchise. And they are paying extra and they are not getting the transfers and they are, put in awkward positions in a lot of different deals. Then that's not to their benefit. But this is the thing with Major League Baseball is it's stuck in the old adage of having the large market teams in the playoffs is necessary in order to have any ratings at all because the ratings are falling off the table so fast that they're desperate. They're desperate to get eyes on the game. And while saying that, they're actually shutting everybody out by making it so hard to watch the games. So they've never made any sense on either front.
Some of that's not going to change. Let's just face it. I'm not going to pretend like it is. But let's look at a little light. You were talking in our text you and I earlier today, and get back to kind of a raise up perspective. And that's what Junior's doing, Junior Caminero. You want to talk a little bit what he's been kind of ball he's been playing this winter?
Yeah, so the Leadom Winter League, it's one of those leagues where guys will go to just in order to keep swinging and to keep throwing and to keep sharp. But a lot of times you can have guys go down there and have great winters and just feed off that into the season, or especially into spring training and beyond. But Junior Caminero has been lighting it up to the point where the crowds are chanting his name for MVP purposes in the playoffs. And you know, this isn't a seasoned vet. I mean, he's a 20-year-old. He might be 21 now. I don't know when his birthday is, but he's a 20-year-old that got, you know, some seasoning in Major League Baseball. He's not old by any means, but he's hanging out with Big Poppy down there, and he's getting a lot of confidence, I guess, back that he had lost a little bit when he with the Rays. He wasn't really as sharp or huge an impact as we expected him to be right away, but that happens all the time. But the home runs that he's hitting and the way that he's hitting the ball and squaring it up, and I mean, he's 15 games. He has a 448 average, a 492 on base percentage, and a 793 slug. You know, like that's just crazy. And he's
Damn.
hit 12 extra base hits, so he's hitting almost one extra base hit a game. The pitching he's seeing there is obviously not MLB caliber in terms of the what would you say? Like he's not seeing aces from every team,
No, yeah.
right? But he's doing damage and he's doing it in a big way, hitting in the second or third spot in the lineup. So he's leading his team, which, you know, for a 21-year-old is a big thing as well. And just the enthusiasm, the whole thing, the way he's playing down there just tells me that we are going to see a very strong season from Junior Caminero. How strong, I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me for him to see him flirting with 25 to 30 home runs this year.
Wow. Oh, gosh. I can't wait to see that, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, geez, being able to maintain that kind of average and your on base percentage, it's exciting. And I know you were talking, this we've said before with prospects that you've covered in the past. I know you're mentioning him, I think at least 2 or 3 years ago, long before he was actually at the Rays level, you know, to keep an eye on this young man. So,
Absolutely. He's always been a man among boys. When he was in the ABL, when he was really young, he got down there and you would have thought he was one of the veterans of the league. Like he really has that sound approach at the plate and confidence that he's going to do some damage.
exciting stuff, my friend. Exciting stuff. Can't wait to be over there at the George Steinbrenner field and watch the Rays this year. And man, it's going to be here before we know it. And spring training's just a few weeks away.
Yeah.
Wow.
And another guy that I want to mention, because I know I mentioned, you know, what if Pete Alonso ended up with the Rays and you know, was that power source behind Junior? There's another guy that I think has a big season in him, and that's Christopher Morel. And I posted this on Blue Sky, you know, recently. The bat speed leaders for last year. Okay, and then the bat speed can tell you a lot about a player. And then sometimes I like to look at stats and look at the groupings at the top of that stat to see, well, what kind of players are leading this category, right? Because it tells you a little bit about what you need in terms of tools to be of that caliber. So here are the 12 other players that are with Christopher Morel. Okay, and I'll just rank them 1 to 13, and then I'll just say their last names. So from 1, we got Stanton. He's in a league of his own. 98% fast swing, which is just ridiculous. But Schwarber's behind him, Cruz behind him, Judge, Adele, then Morel. Okay, so Morel is 6th overall. Behind him, you have Chapman, Ohtani, Gunnar Henderson, Julio Rodriguez, Jordan Alvarez, Juan Soto, and Vladimir Guerrero. Those are your top 13 in that category. Like if you're going to want to be part of a team of a group of players in any stat, you know, that's pretty impressive. So Christopher Morel has a significant amount of potential, and I get why the Rays were intrigued enough to make that acquisition. I just hope that some way, somehow, they can tap into that and make it as playable in game as possible. So I'm very intrigued about combo of him and Junior Caminero, because if both of them are able to go to 30 plus home runs, and in the Rays lineup with the pitching that they have, maybe one of the best pens in the league, all of a sudden you can do a lot of damage and score enough runs to support that.
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your post right now on Blue Sky. That is some rare air of company to keep. And wow, I can't wait to see him out there.
Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully they find him a home defensively as well, so he's not moving around as much, and then he can concentrate on the bat.
Good times, my friend. Anything else that you want to cover today?
Everything I want to cover today with a big blanket of happiness, Mark. We need more of it.
Yes, brother, we do. It's yeah. One baseball is not going to be the answer, as you heard at the beginning, and it's going to take a lot from all of us, to work with one another and just make life good. Because sometimes the specter of what everybody else is trying to tear down, we've got to make sure we shore up. So
I don't want to step on a landmine here, Mark, but
yep.
We're about to head into spring training, right?
Yeah. I didn't want to say this, but I've been thinking it. Please go ahead and say it.
What's one of the hangups that happens sometimes with some players in a normal setting is the visas not getting approved in time. I'm really fearful that this is going to become an issue when the certain sites get taken offline and have a button that says go home, for the Spanish White House site, that's what it says. They took it down, and instead of the Spanish site, it said go home on the button. When that is put out there, it has a significant impact. So whether or not, that kind of thing can happen quickly enough to impact this spring training, I have no idea. But everything seems to be happening pretty quickly. I'm hoping that, cooler heads prevail and things get boggled up enough and protected enough that it won't be an issue, and that cooler heads will prevail. And it's not something we should be worried about, but I can't help it. I have to be worried about it because the impact it would have. I mean, at that point, what are you watching? I don't know. Hopefully we don't have to cross that bridge, Mark.
Well, it's been on my mind for a while, even before the most recent ugliness. But I've often thought, if somebody wanted to really be a stinker and say, well, we're not getting an opportunity for enough folks from the United States to be able to play baseball in the Major League Baseball. We need to make sure it's Americans only. I was kind of kidding about that at the beginning, but it's ugly that I am concerned about that. I've been thinking for years. It's like we have these people who've worked so hard over, like, either Dominican Republic, and I know Puerto Rico's part of us, but I mean, in other countries as well, who've come in and played and entertained. And if suddenly, if they're in another country now playing off-season ball, and they decide to come back for a team that they've already have an agreement with, and lo and behold, you can't because the visa has been rejected. I'm stunned. I'm beyond stunned about what has transpired. I'm not really mad, because we've all known it, we've seen it coming, and everything else to boot. But I want to go back to hope, prayer, treat people like people, and get rid of worrying about all this other stuff. People, come on, please.
I agree, Mark, and I'll just say that the thing that may save a lot of this process taking place is the fact that, the billionaires that own the teams will probably get involved and make sure that some of them are cleared up and sent on their way. I'm just saying that right now things are happening quickly and then kind of in block things. So somebody may take something too far. And so there may be hangups along the way. And I know where you're headed, and I know where your head is at. I think my head is in the same place or in a similar place. So, let's hope for a long season that is positive and can take our minds off of things that we, have to deal with on the side.
I'm with you, brother. So let's do that. Let's end on that happy note. Let's looking forward to a great season ahead, and hopefully a little bit smoother sailing with some of these other things. And we'll enjoy the games as they come.
Amen.
All righty. Well, thank you all again for joining us here today. And Mr. Matt and Mr. Mark here, glad to have you every week. So until then, we want to thank you and wish you a very happy week of baseball and counting down the days until spring training is here. Bye-bye. All right.
Mr. Mark and Mr. Matt, eh?
That's right. Why not? Have a little fun with it.
Just a reminder, you can find Matt at matgermain.beastky social. That's at mattgermain.beastsky.social or Mark at baseballbizondeck.beastsky.social. You may also find Baseball Biz on Deck on iHeart, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and at baseballbizondeck.com. Special thanks to XTakeRUX for the music. Rocking forward.